Noting the time and the presence of a quorum, I call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order. It has been brought to my attention that this is a recorded meeting by ActonTV. Anyone else wishing to record the meeting is supposed to make themselves known to the chair at this time. With that, I would like to make one quick introduction before we, as we jump out of order just a little bit. We'll come back to it at the end. We have a new associate member to our Finance Committee by the name of Al Volodnek. Okay, close enough. There will be time at the end to go through and do a full introduction, but in case you do decide to chime in, your name should at least be out there and ready for everyone on the committee. At this time, I would open up the floor for public participation. Okay, we're good on public participation. That will be the quickest point in tonight's discussion on tonight's agenda. Okay, next thing to discuss is the delegation of warrant articles. I am fully aware of the fact that all we have received so far is a thumbnail sketch of just the titles. And so we're not going to get too far in all this, but I do want to assign people to do the investigation to be ready for the next meeting or two. The next meeting is the only meeting that we will be able to have where our votes would actually make it in time to be in the warrant as approved, not approved, and anything we don't get to would be, recommended or not recommended. Anything we don't get to will be deferred. I expect that a fair number of these things will be deferred if for no other reason it is our standard not to vote on anything until we have final language. Being that we have not even had draft language yet, the possibility of having final language by Tuesday the 26th strikes me as a bit optimistic. So the other wrinkle in all this is there's the very real possibility I will not be at our next meeting, in which case Roland will run it. So anything that I take on, we will probably not have, I will not be able to provide my feedback to the committee for fear of OML violations, and therefore we'll kick that until the next meeting, the meeting after next. That said, it is not uncommon for us to go into town meeting with many deferreds, and sometimes we're not even voting until the day of town meeting on some given articles. Mr. Noon, would you like to say something?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that this is totally unacceptable. We should have a draft warrant in our hands by now, and 2 weeks is not a sufficient time to do the job that is expected of us by the town members. And personally, I hate looking at a warrant that the committee's deferred. It tells the voters nothing.
I understand. I understand. Okay, with that in mind, we will go through this list of 52 items, and we will assign who is going to do the investigation and report back to us. 1, 2, and 3 don't need anybody. I will take number 4. This town capital, sidewalks and traffic calming, is that different than Kelly's Corner? Is it in addition to? Is it completely separate? Does anyone know? Mr. Benson.
Yes. Kelly's Corner is one article, sidewalks and traffic calming are a second article. They are broken out on the sheet that you have. They will be flipped in order. So I think it's Article 5 will be the Kelly's Corner, supplemental engineering and appraisal services, and then I think it's Article 6 with the sidewalks and traffic calming.
Is the traffic calming, sidewalk and traffic calming in the same vicinity as Kelly's Corner? Are they linked, or is it a different thing?
No, they would be totally different items.
Okay, different part of town, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take it out of order now. Christy, I'm assuming that you're going to want Kelly's Corner since you've been working on it all year. It's yours. Who? Can you what?
Can I work with Christy on that? Because I've been working a lot with the Kelly's Corner outreach too.
You need help? You want help? No.
Yeah, if I can have it, I can have it. I'll take that.
It's yours. She can help you. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Pull it back a little, Steve. Pull it back a little. Thank you. Okay. Sidewalks and traffic calming, which is a completely different section of town, apparently. Who wants that one? Christine, all yours. I'm going to follow that right up again with you, Christine, for the regional school district assessment, since you are the liaison to the school district this year, unless somebody wants to wrestle you for that one. Okay. School district capital. I'm probably going to take this one because it's the SIP component, right? But I thought that wasn't supposed to even come out of. I'm actually a little caught off guard that there's a separate item here for capital for the school district unless it's different from the SIP. Do you know what this is?
I know that the bonding is rolled into the school district's budget, but it has to be voted on separate.
Okay. Okay. And the next one down is the stabilization fund. I don't think I should take this one. You want that one? I've already given the superintendent heads up that we'd like to speak to him. And I've invited him for either of the next 2 meetings. We'll see which one he can come to. By all means, feel free to reach out to him in advance so that you can get the answers that you need to bring back to the committee. Did you want to say something? Mike, Minuteman Regional School District Assessment. Roland is not here, but he's getting CPC, unless somebody wants to fight me on that one. Okay, disposition of real property. This is Walker, correct? You'll take that as well, Mike? Thank you. Land acquisition or lease, 19 and 21 Maple Street. Anyone? Is this is not River Street, this is something different. Any takers on this, on some of these land acquisitions? Thank you very much. Jeff has 13 and 14. Okay, I just need to look up one thing here. Hold on a second, please. Give everyone a minute to look at the next couple of articles and see what they want to grab.
Might as well get
Okay.
hoo-ha.
Okay. Collective bargaining for police, fire, dispatch, and AFSCME.
I'll take that one.
Thank you. Demand for late payments. Brian, what is that?
We're going to be increasing the $5 demand for motor vehicle excise. So those will be going on, that's what this article is for, to increase those demand fees. When people don't pay on time.
Okay. Who wants that one?
Sure, I'll take that one.
Commuter lot and station maintenance, I'm planning on giving to Dave unless somebody wants to jump in. Septis disposal enterprise fund, budget. Anybody want it, or am I giving that one to Dave too, since he didn't show up tonight?
Don't forget Tom.
I won't forget Tom. Okay, but I'm going to give septage to Dave. Transfer station. Sounds like Tom.
Yeah.
Sewer is Dave. Again, unless somebody wants it. Ambulance. Christine? With some of the recent members gone, it's not automatic anymore. Transportation. Excellent. revolving funds budgets. Mike, Steve? Tom?
Sana's getting away here.
Agricultural Commission. I would say actually the Agricultural Commission and the right to farm should go together so that it's one topic, one general topic. Sahana? Is it? Do you not want it?
No, I think.
Okay.
It just showed you know something about it, which is way ahead of most of us.
What's that?
She obviously knows something about it, so
Yep, there you go.
logical choice.
Remove deed restriction on 670 Mass Ave. What's this about?
670 Mass Ave is a deed restricted affordable housing unit, and so they want to remove that deed restriction because it just got sold, and frankly, the property's in pretty much disrepair.
So what are we planning on doing? Well, that's what the person is supposed to find out. We're only halfway through this list. Okay. Yeah. How much did Roland get already? Yeah, we'll give it to Roland. Public way permit, demolition delay, chapter N demolition delay. Some of these, we're not quite to the consent agenda, so some of these will have to be spoken to. Historical Commission, is it Roland on the Historical Commission?
He probably knows as much about it as anybody, but what's it about, Brian? We have a demolition delay bylaw.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't know.
John, do you know what the demolition delay is, Article 27? Okay, so, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Public way permits.
All right.
Jeff,
What the heck?
since you're doing some of the other land stuff, and can I ask you to take planning board membership as well, and then I'll try and lay off you for a little while, unless somebody else wants to take it?
Roland's the only one of us that's ever been on the planning board.
Well, planning board, is that the issue where they want to
Reduce the number.
of members?
Yeah.
Because they never have a quorum.
Yeah, it would be good to have somebody who's been on it.
Roland, that'll teach him not to show up on a Friday night. Detached accessory apartments, I'll take that one. Dave likes that issue. Does he really, or are you,
He's spoken to it before.
okay. More likely to get him next week, the next meeting than me, so let's do that.
Sounds like you get the next one then.
Then he gets the next one as well. Plastic bag reduction, I have to say this will be somewhat controversial, or at least will be a fan favorite at the meeting. Do you want it?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Did you skip, did you buy 30 and 31?
Yes, I gave them both to Dave. Building moratorium,
I'll take that.
okay. Development rate limitation bylaws, these next five are all, we'd probably all be speaking to the same person. If there's anybody who wants it, they can have it. If not, I will take it. I'll take the next five and do them as a lump, knowing that I will not be able to, knowing that it's highly likely that I will not be able to come at the next meeting.
I'm not volunteering, but I will tell you that it has been our tradition that the chair takes citizen petition articles.
Well then,
So you would be consistent with our past practice.
I'll take him. So that's probably, and 38 is probably part of that, all of that as well, too. So I will take that as well. It's a good thing school vacation weekend I'm around next week, and I don't have any work to do.
It's a doubt that I have. The non-binding resolutions, is it something that is a must,
Oh,
Honor, the question is? Ignore you, okay.
I just want some information on the non-binding resolutions.
Yeah.
Something that, oops, sorry. Is this something that is, as soon as a citizen brings it to the table, it's on the warrant right away? Or is it something that the Board of Selectmen have to approve before it gets here?
No, there's a signature requirement, and they have to be filed by a certain date, which I believe was January 28th this year. All of these citizen petitions met the required signature amount, so they're on. We don't have discretion to take them off. We don't have to recommend them.
Okay, so it automatically comes here as
Yes.
soon as it meets it. Thank you.
we have 2 stormwater bylaws. Who wants to take some stormwater information? Thinking it sounds a lot like sewage, and I'm ready to give it to Dave. Okay, but I need to stop giving things to Dave at this point. Zoning map, 16 Knox Trail and Main Street. Thank you, Steve. A housekeeping zoning bylaw, which sure sounds like a kitchen sink to me there, Mr. McMullen. So not loving the absolute lack of detail on that one.
Jeff can have it. I would like somebody, maybe Roland Bartle, to add up how many housekeeping articles we've had on the zoning bylaw in the last 15 years, because I believe it happens every other year. And I think that's an awful lot of housekeeping.
Okay, Jeff, it's yours. Accept street and land gifts. Yeah, I guess those are 2 different things, right? Because one we have to take responsibility for, and the other then we just own it. Who wants to take accepting of a street? Tom? Accept land gift 49 Piper Road. So, Al, there's 8 left. Feel free to chime in. You're going to jump right in and you're going to pick one of these.
I'm happy to take whatever anyone wants.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit.
I just understood Al to say you take the rest.
I am interested in the concept of bequesting to a disinterested party. Obviously, if they get a gift, they're going to be very interested. I don't know what that means, disinterested.
You want to take it, Jeff?
Just giving him some guidance.
I want Al to take the 46 and 51, because he's going to end up, that would help him grease the skids for meeting with the Board of Selectmen and for meeting with Brian and Steve, which I'm sure Brian and Steve are going to do their new hire training in the near future. Right? Right. Okay, so Al, 46 and 51, you good with that? Fantastic. Okay, so I still do need someone to do accepting of a land gift.
I'll take it.
Thank you, Christine. I am going to give Roland the trail easement because that sounds a lot like a CPC thing. Steve, I'm looking at you for insurance proceeds. Sorry, I skipped one. Number 47, Highway Reimbursement Program. Excellent. Gifts or grants? These are consent articles, so this should go relatively smoothly. Who else wants gifts or grants? Christie, thank you. Federal and state reimbursement aid. Great, thank you. Christie. unless you want to fight her for it. And sale of foreclosed properties. Jeff? Okay. With that rough sketch in mind, I will send out to the people who were not here tonight what we dumped on them. I will allow for the possibility that there might be some, God, no, I'm not doing that, in which case we'll figure it out. Do you need to go over that again, or did you capture it all? Fantastic. Fantastic. What do we anticipate to be the most controversial ones this year? Which are the ones that we need to spend our time on? Sahana, you've suggested that right to farm is going to take up some effort, and judging from the fact that I've already heard from people about plastic bag reduction, Christine, I think that one's going to be controversial as well. Am I missing anything?
I think some of these citizens petitions,
Yeah,
all of them almost,
Okay.
take us into Thursday.
Take us into Thursday from a Monday meeting? Okay, Mike has put down his marker that we're going 4 days this year. Okay,
For the record, I think we have to go 3 days and then move to the next week. If I remember the law correctly.
you can only do 3 days in a
I
week?
think so.
Interesting. Okay, well,
Check that out.
let's hope.
We should probably give them there's a chance we might do that. We should probably have an authoritative answer to that, or at least alert the moderator that could
We should
happen.
endeavor to make sure this happens in at least 3 nights.
Less than 3 or
And
less.
at most, you mean at most
At
3
most.
nights?
But I mean, I could see it happening, so we probably should give a heads up to the moderator to find out whether it's a valid motion to adjourn to the next day or whether it has to be the next week.
What's his last one? He might want it to really last.
Is his,
Will he even be the moderator? He will not be the moderator.
Yeah, he will be.
No,
This is his last one, I think.
no. My understanding is that the election is in advance of the meeting, so I don't know if he'll be doing it or if the new moderator will be moderating.
Huh.
Oh, I think,
No, I don't believe that's correct. Mr. Ashton's election in March of 2018 was through the 2019 town meeting.
right.
So, like the Board of Selectmen,
Like the
as soon as
selectmen, they
the
don't take
town
it.
meeting is done,
Obviously.
then he's out of office?
Yes, but
Okay,
he gets this town meeting.
okay, good.
Should be pointed out that he gets paid
Paid
by the
per day.
night,
By the
so he would have no incentive whatsoever, since it's his last chance to make any money.
I'm
He
sure-
wanted to go 4 nights.
I'm sure at $20 a night, he could probably be, let's hope that,
I think when you start talking about building moratoriums and moratoriums and land clearing issues, buying Kmart again, and things like that, they could drag on and drag on and drag on, because it's the same people with the same arguments, and we'll probably see the same results.
I'm not even sure what the accessory apartments, talking about minimalist cabins and things, whether that will open up a can of worms as to whether anybody who has an extra quarter of an acre beyond the minimum acre can now put another building on their lot
Yep.
and rent it
Well-
or sell it, or who knows. But so
So-
there'll be a lot of interesting discussion, which there should be.
Couple things. First, we need the actual language. 2, we need to let the people who are assigned this do their investigation and get back to us, and then we'll discuss it and deliberate. Did you want to say something?
We just didn't mention that Kelly's Corner is going to be its own long discussion.
Yes. I thought that was a given. Although at a majority vote this time and not a 2/3 vote this time, I am less concerned about not knowing the outcome.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Brian, can I ask a question of Mr. McMullen?
By all means.
So Brian, when do you anticipate the warrant going to press?
Oh,
Yeah,
March 7th. March 7th.
really, not the date that you set up to preclude the Finance Committee from getting recommendations in.
Yeah. We have our next meeting on the 26th. No, of February.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Burgart.
it'll be in my report later, but I did attend the selectmen meeting on January 28th. And at that time, they officially closed the warrant, which was more than 2 weeks ago.
By way of clarification, closing the warrant means it's closed to citizen petitions. The select board can add an article or take a warrant article off at any time thereafter, but that is just limited to citizen petitions.
Thank you for that clarification, but again, most of our concern is we don't have the wording of a lot of these, and most of the wording is vague relative to citizens petitions. So I'm just supporting.
We're waiting on it.
I'm sorry, don't they have to have their full warrant, their full petition? with
Yeah,
exact
the
wording?
citizen petitions are available. You people should have them.
We don't. That's what we're, that's
Okay,
one of
you
the
should.
reasons we're not happy tonight.
Okay, well, we're closed Monday, so, Brian? If we can get to the Finance Committee on Tuesday when we're back in business, a copy of the citizen petitions. Yeah.
It looks like the warrant's going to be posted on March 12th. So the last probably meeting that the Finance Committee could meet
26th.
and get their recommended votes or not recommended votes, whatever, is going to be on that 26th.
Unless we decided to meet on the 5th,
Unless you meet on the 5th,
which,
the night prior to.
given the lack of information that we have, and the number of people who will probably want to come before us to be heard, one meeting's not going to be sufficient.
Duly noted.
Yeah, I think this is a case of deja vu all over again. Every year, we have the same issue. I think, the warrant and the timing of the town meeting and the opportunity to really review these and analyze them it's just out of sync. It's just not enough time. We usually wind up, and I can see it happening this time, where the night of town meeting, we'll be debating and discussing and voting on some of these issues because, we don't have them in enough time.
And for certain articles, I can understand why it takes so long. For example, for all the years that I've been here, which is not many, but for all the years that I've been here, getting the final number has sometimes been quite a challenge, and so we end up doing that. But for things that are fixed, like the citizens' petitions, there is no excuse for us not to have them in time for this meeting. So, yes.
If in fact, with the large number of them, would it be helpful to have a different meeting, sort of like the, citizens to give their input to the Finance Committee, like Saturday, like Budget Saturday kind of thing, where any person, either basically the citizens, but if anything else comes up that could, as opposed to trying to cram it in our meeting that might go till who knows when. I wonder if it might be useful, because I know a couple of these people who've put in petitions will want to speak to us before we take a position.
We have 2 meetings between now and then, so let's see how many we can get over the course of the next 2 meetings.
And if I could remind you, Mr. Chairman, one of them will have to be a formal budget hearing.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna have a couple of meetings then. Okay. Everybody happy with what they've been assigned? Excellent. Excellent. Anything else, any other comments on, or topics on the warrant article investigation between now and the next meeting? Okay. We will move on to discussing open meeting law complaints, violation complaints. The number one thing that there are a couple things we need to do tonight on this topic. We do need to review the complaint, discuss amongst ourselves, and then decide who is going to be the person writing the response. There are two complaints. Let's take them chronologically. The first one is that the first complaint is about our meeting of 1/5, which is Municipal Budget Saturday. My read of this is that the complainant feels there was not enough information in the agenda notice. I guess my question is, what has been done in years past, and is there really a difference in just saying it's Municipal Budget Saturday, or do we need to mimic the agenda from the town manager in our agenda? Is I guess the only remedy that I can think of is what we could do better for next time if we're really even in violation. Mike?
I think our response is that we followed OML guidelines, period, end of discussion. Next item.
Are there any countervailing opinions to that point of view?
No, I think we followed the same, it's a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. And as best I can recall, over the last 13 or 14 years, it's always just been posted as Budget Saturday.
Very good. So now that we've discussed it, we need to identify who is going to be the one to write the response. I believe our only viable options are myself or a representative from the town manager's office. I think on this one, it probably makes sense for me to do it, but before I get a sense of the committee on that, I'm going to say for the second complaint, and I'd like, you know what, we're going to discuss the second complaint first, and then we're going to come back to the delegation of responsibility for response. The second complaint is that the meeting minutes from Budget Saturday were inaccurately posted, or that we didn't approve them publicly. I'm going to defer to you now to discuss a little more.
My understanding of the complaint is that they were insufficient. They did not represent what happened at the meeting to such a degree that someone who did not attend the meeting could learn what they needed to from it. Is that not the language you have?
Yeah, I'm just suggesting that Jason just read the complaint in full.
Again? Okay. You
And
out loud?
paraphrase.
Out loud? Out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I can read it. Okay, the description of alleged violation. The Acton Finance Committee violated the open meeting law with respect to its minutes for its meeting of 1/5/19, apparently approved either 1/8/19 or 1/22/19, and posted online 1/29/19 in at least the following ways: failing to accurately set forth the time of the meeting or even the actual start time of the meeting, stating only each chair convened meeting to order. 2, failing to accurately set forth the location of the meeting. 3, failing to list members present. 3, unidentified members listed absent but not clear they are from which of 2 boards, while record of adjournment votes suggests all members of both boards were present. Failing to include an accurate summary of the discussion of each subject and to provide enough detail so that a member of the public who did not attend the meeting could read the meeting minutes and understand what occurred and how the public body arrived at its decision. No summary of topics discussed was listed, only notes/outline of apparent presentation of budget by various department heads, with a sprinkling of short summaries of a few questions and answers, and many abbreviations and shorthand notes. Not at all clear that reader would understand from these notes what happened throughout the meeting, and at many specific points where the notes are especially unclear. Failing to list all documents and other exhibits used during the meeting. There must have been budget documents in draft form or otherwise, spreadsheets, slides, etc. Additionally, as purported minutes for a joint board meeting between the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, these minutes fail to accurately and clearly indicate how, when, and by which boards they were approved, although it is likely that these were first approved by the Finance Committee on January 8th or January 22nd, and then by the Board of Selectmen on January 28th. That is not apparent from the minutes themselves, which at the bottom contain undated signatures of Lisa Tomo, recording secretary, and John Benson, clerk. The identical document was posted online as minutes for each of the separate two boards on 1/29/19, the day after the Board of Selectmen's 1/28 meeting, when it then appeared on the agenda for approval. Okay, we never voted on these minutes. Therefore, my argument is we cannot be held accountable for meeting minute violations of meetings that we did not approve and did not submit. Christie?
I believe these minutes were incorrectly posted. I at no point asked to have these posted under the Finance Committee minutes. And we have until today, this being our third meeting after Budget Saturday, in which to approve minutes. Minutes have been presented for approval.
With that said, being that we have never approved these minutes, we could not have made a violation on minutes that we have not approved. So my question to the committee on this is, do we want to address this, or do we want to defer this to the town manager's office, because minutes were purported, minutes that had not been approved by this committee were purportedly put up on the website inaccurately, in which case I do not believe it is a Finance Committee issue to address. It is of the town manager's office to address. Does my argument make sense?
It does.
So,
Do you want a motion to that effect?
So, just to go back over this, I am fine with writing a response to the first complaint about the posting of the agenda. As for the meeting minutes, I don't think it's for us to respond to, because at this point, we have not done anything that could be actionable as an open meeting law complaint.
I would like to ask a question, and I would like maybe town council to answer. What are minutes supposed to contain? Because we did not deliberate any issues, nor did we take any votes at Budget Saturday. And those are required to be in minutes. Beyond that, yeah, an outline of what was discussed is probably sufficient.
Okay.
Additionally, other than Budget Saturday, which was not a traditional meeting, I'd like to remind the committee that every meeting is documented by ActonTV, word for word, with live action and pictures that records everything that was discussed.
Correction, I think they missed one because I forgot to notify them. So early on in my tenure, there's a meeting that was missed because I just booted it. Mr. Benson, you're standing at the microphone. I believe that means you wish to say something.
Two comments. In terms of what you have to put in the minutes is a summary of what took place at the meeting, not an outline, but just a summary. That doesn't mean a transcript, just a summary of the items that of the substantive items you discussed. And then to Mr. Chairman, in preparing your response, you may want to use the form that town council prepared to respond to open meeting law violation complaints. It just fill in the blanks, with your answers. And I think it'll give you good direction, and it's a good form.
Sounds like I have homework for Tuesday morning.
Mr. Chairman, may I address the question, Mr. Benson?
Please do.
Or maybe it should go to the town manager. I would like to know how much the town has spent, town council and staff, an estimate of staff time answering open meeting law complaints in the last, say, 12 months.
I could say from September through December, It was $30,000 in counsel fees responding to the complaints that Mr. Ballard filed against us. I did some checking on my own. The problem, with the law, it's another one of these things where the cure proves worse than the prospective problem.
Can I interrupt, John, just for the TV audience? Mr. Ballard is not a resident of Acton.
Yes, that's duly noted. And the second problem with the statute is there's no mechanism to deter the Steve Ballards of the Commonwealth or others.
Wait. This is beyond the responsibility of the Finance Committee to discuss issues that are best handled by the state legislature. I do not want this to devolve into how things should be. None of us in this room are in the state legislature. We have no say over the matter. I do not want this to devolve into a discussion of the amount of money that it costs the town is absolutely a valid and fair thing to bring in front of this committee. But beyond that, I do not want this to devolve any further.
I would like at some future point then this committee to discuss what form of communication we need to make to Senator Eldridge and our representatives about the open meeting law. I've already discussed it informally with our newly elected state rep, Tammy Gouvier, and frankly told her, if you think it's such a good law and produces good government, apply it to yourself.
Yeah, and if I may, one final comment. I do plan at the Mass Municipal Association meeting it's March 22nd with legislators to take this matter up of drilling into the statute a mechanism to deter these serial complaints.
Mike?
Yeah, and how many OML violations have we received just in the last 10 days, 2 weeks?
30.
There may be 30 total. There were probably 20 through the beginning of this year or into January. And then there was that blitz, EDC, FinCom, Board of Selectmen, Design Review Board, the Main Street Committee. So you've probably got another 10 or 12, yeah.
Okay. So at this time, with regard to the first chronological complaint about the agenda of our municipal budget Saturday meeting, who do we want to delegate the response? Myself or town manager's office? I'm prepared to do it. I see finger pointed at me.
Mr. Chairman, I move that you address this complaint personally.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that was unanimous. With regard to the second complaint, my belief is that this is nothing for the Finance Committee to act upon because we have not yet approved minutes, therefore we cannot be in violation of the minutes posting. So there's two ways to do this. Either that is our response and I will write it up, or we say that since these minutes were posted by an entity outside of ourselves, that we would like that entity to speak to any potential violation. How does the committee feel about those two choices? So let's have some discussion on that. Do you want me to respond saying, we didn't approve anything, therefore it's not us? Or do we want to give the town manager town manager's office an opportunity to weigh in? Christine.
So do we have to, are there official response steps that we have to take, I assume?
Yes.
Because, my belief is that the second you respond to the Attorney General's office and say, actually, we didn't do that, it was basically a behind-the-scenes technical error, this goes away. So I think we should do no more than our absolute limit of, here's what happened.
Which is a perfectly technically fine response, and I'm prepared to write that up if that is the will of the committee. Christy, looks like you'd like to weigh in.
Given that the confusion happened at the town level, I would prefer that you answered this, so it doesn't get mixed up in the other things that the town is dealing with.
I'm
also.
happy to do that as well. It is my expectation to respond saying, we have not yet voted on these minutes, therefore this cannot be a violation. Any other opinions on that response? Anybody else wish to change it to someone else? Jeff?
Mr. Chairman, no, I had just the question that came into my mind. If you say that as a response, would the complainant then say, then why is it on the town website that you responded, that you did approve the minutes? So you may have to expand your simplistic one sentence to two sentences that said, there was a mistake in posting that we had approved it, and in fact, we had not yet approved it.
Okay.
That way it, doesn't.
So Jeff, I know this goes against what many of the people in the room who worked on the point of view document is. I will actually use enough words. I will not keep it too short. May I entertain a motion? I'd like to entertain a motion, please, on this one.
If I could remember what we said, I'd move, so. I move that we delegate the chair to answer the second, no, this was the second complaint.
Second one that we're dealing with at this time.
Second.
Steve moved, Jeff seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. That was also unanimous. So I have work for the coming days. Very well. Okay. Moving on to Finance Committee business. First point of order on the business is welcoming the new associate member. So I'm going to give the floor to you for a minute. Give us the 30 seconds of who you are, why you're here, and then we'll welcome you.
My name is Al Vlajnek. I am a resident of Acton for 45 years, which is to say that I've lived here my entire life. I went through the Acton school system. My kids go through the Acton school system. I was working in the investment management industry for 20 years. For 3 years at Putnam Investments, for just under 18 years at Wellington Management, both in Boston. At Wellington, for about 15 years, I worked on a fixed income trading desk, specializing in mortgage-backed securities, asset-backed securities, commercial mortgage-backed securities. I traded subprime mortgages through the subprime mortgage crisis, and I've seen the ins and outs of very tumultuous markets. About a year ago, I took an early retirement. Been trying to rediscover what I want to do for the next chapter of my life, and I had some time to fill, so I thought I might, I'm not leaving Acton anytime soon, so I thought this might be an interesting way to contribute.
Okay, the words early retirement and 45 were rubbing me the wrong way, but that's fine. Congratulations, good for you. So by all means, please feel free to get to know everyone, and I hope you don't mind that I gave you a couple of articles so that you've got people to go meet and a reason to knock on their door and say, hi, I'm here now. Okay, so Sahana, you're off the hook. You no longer have to close out the meetings. Steve.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask that you contact whoever you need to make sure there are sufficient chairs on the stage at town meeting, because there are now 11 of us.
Yep, we've been here before. Wasn't that long ago we were at 11? Okay. Okay. Okay, the next item is to approve minutes. My understanding, please keep me on the straight and narrow, Christy, is that we have 2 sets of minutes to approve, one of January 5th and one of January 8th. Is that accurate?
And one from January 22nd.
Oh, that's already 2? I missed that one. Okay, we will start with We'll go in chronological order. January 5th, the aforementioned municipal budget Saturday meeting minutes. I would note that they are not short. They're onto their 9th page, so thank you very much. I know that at least one other member has reached out to you and said thank you for the minutes. I'd like to echo his thanks. Did anybody find any issues in these minutes that they would like to amend at this time, or have you received any that you need to declare?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of January 5th.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And anybody who's not there abstains? Jeff abstains. Al abstains.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of January 8th.
No, not yet. I sent an email very late in the day on the minutes for January 8th. Under the committee report section, you call out Mike Majors, but you do not call out the Minuteman Building Project. If you would please tag that as being with regards to the Minuteman Building Project. I have no other changes that I would like to see made to those minutes. Anybody else have any other adjustments to those minutes?
I have now received a copy of the files that were handed out at that meeting, and I will upload them to DocuShare and then amend the minutes to include a link to those documents.
Nevertheless, Mr. Chair, I move approval of the amended January 8th minutes.
Now I will entertain a second. Steve moved, Christine seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Anybody who was absent, please abstain.
Wasn't even on the committee, didn't it?
Let's take no chances, sir. Let's take no chances. Did somebody else abstain? Jeff abstained and Christie abstained. Okay. That's a full accurate vote, yes? Good. Okay. We are now moving on to the minutes of January 20.
Second. And are you ready?
I am ready.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes of January 22nd.
Steve moved, Christine seconded. Was I at that meeting? Yes, I was. Good. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those,
I made a spelling mistake. Officer Preel, I wrote it as Dale, so that will be corrected.
I move approval of the minutes of January 22nd as amended.
I'm going to be a stickler here. Sorry. We already had a motion, and it was seconded for the ones that were unamended. I ask that you vote it down. For the first motion on the table to approve the minutes unamended, all those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. Fine. Now, for the second motion on the table to approve the amended minutes with a correctly spelled last name, with a second from Christine. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. And abstentions. Looks like Jeff and Al.
Nevertheless, I still believe I have the right to change my motion as long as the seconder agrees with it, which she did.
So I jumped the gun and I made us take a voice vote nonetheless. My apologies. Okay. We are at my favorite part of the meeting, which is the committee reports, which is where we get to learn from everyone else at the committee is what they've learned over the last couple of weeks. Since he is brand new, we will start at the other end of the table. Sahana, what do you have to report to the committee?
Christy, I'm taking over yours, the Kelly's Corner. Kelly's Corner, they have been, the steering committee and the outreach committee has been doing a lot of coffees and presentations around town, and it's been received very favorably. People are in favor to see a change happening at Kelly's Corner. We did have a presentation at the school committee 2 days ago, and the school committee, most of them were in favor of the project too. So we do have another public meeting coming up on February 28th here at room 204, and this is a presentation to the League of Women Voters. So if anybody wants to attend the presentation, you're all welcome.
Thank you. Steve?
Mike and I did the outreach at the senior center. It was not well attended. Bob Evans did come. It's good to see Bob. Two candidates for office came, John Peterson and Jim Snyder Grant. And other than that, there were about three or four other individuals. It's a good discussion. It was well received. Bob told us we should have it later in the day because apparently seniors don't get up early and don't drive at night. So after lunch is a good time slot apparently.
What time was the?
8:30.
8:30 a.m.
Which is what the senior center asked for.
Okay, because he did take me aside at last night's meeting saying, next year you have to pick a better time. So
We didn't pick it.
okay. I mentioned I thought that was the time that was given to us, but okay. So Christy, you had asked to keep track of the things that we'd like to learn from year to year. Apparently, the Council on Aging would like to have their outreach committee meeting right at lunchtime or right after lunch, please.
A health insurance trust has not met. We're going to meet on March 1st, I believe.
Thank you. Jeff?
Mr. Chairman, I attended the January 28th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. During citizens' concerns, the residents of Piper Lane expressed a lot of concern about development in that area. But the thing that's most relevant to us is Ms. Fredericks said that she wished to have the TASER portion of the budget broken out and voted on separately, as well as the sewers from the budget. Now, of course, we don't vote line item by line item, but in terms of understanding what could happen when the budget comes up for discussion, those two items might be discussed separately, and motions to amend the budget perhaps might happen.
Now I understand why you say we're going to 4 nights.
That's just reporting.
Yes, thank you. I'm not shooting the messenger, I promise.
Understood. The Kelly's Corner on March 5th, there's going to be the 25% design review open meeting. So after the 28th and on the 5th, they have a required mandatory state mandated meeting for that. The citizens warrant was closed. I did request at that time that whatever was available be sent to us. It was not for the citizens' part. There was a discussion on the Avalon project. Evidently, they needed to amend the memorandum of agreement that was a few years back. They still have the senior units and 25% low income, but they're not going to be doing the condos, 60 condos process. There was discussion about the open meeting law complaint, and one member of the board expressed concern that a citizen of the town was in fact acting as passing things on to the lawyer who's filing the complaints, and that's all I'll say about it. Shock, right. Watch the movie if you want to know the details. The farmer's market was talked about and relocating it. Again, not super germane to us. There was some discussion about the Acton leadership meeting and how there were compromises made in terms of what would be and would not be used in the untaxed levy. And you've reported on that, I think, subsequent to that. The thing that was very interesting was there was a discussion on the Veterans District. Now, it appears that the state has the ability, or has given towns the ability to join towns and form a district. And what that would do is allow the towns to share a Department of Veteran Services, and the town of Bucksborough is a much smaller town and has much fewer veterans, and I think their veterans agent is either retiring or leaving, and they are using this opportunity to reach out to us and say whether, in fact, we would be part of that district and therefore merge our two constituents and share in the expenses. Wishing to speak to the half-full glass, I got up and spoke to the fact that if we're going to have our people do their support, that we should not be shy in charging a full measure for the cost of our veterans agent. If they're 10% of that person, it's not just 10% of their salary, it's 10% of their pension that we have to put aside. It's 10% of whatever the town manager spends in time supporting that person, and his phone, and his car, and his heat, light, and power, et cetera. So I was just, in my stand-up for representing the fiscal side of things, encouraging the selectmen to negotiate a very fully burdened rate so that we don't get in a situation where we're subsidizing the town of Boxborough. The next important thing was there's a new social media policy that the town manager put in place. I think that's appropriate so we don't get into trouble with one department putting up a blog or a website and having it no longer be under the guidance of the town manager. There are some such websites in, I think, Conservation Commission, maybe? Or some groups have already had some, so they're trying to put them all together and making sure that it's all consistent. I applaud that. I think that was a good movement to minimize risk in the town. And then there was the consent agenda, and that really went quite quickly. So that's all I have to report.
Yes, Steve?
By way of breaking news, Mark Hall just sent us all an email saying the citizens petition texts are in the Selectmen's electronic packet and gives us the link and says they'll have a draft warrant out as soon as possible. Doesn't give a date. And says that the final warrant will be posted March 12th by 5 p.m.
So either he's responding to my email very quickly or he's watching us live because he's starting, as discussed at our Friday meeting.
God love him, yeah, it was posted 4 minutes ago.
Very good. Okay, good. Very good. Mike? Microphone. Microphone.
The Main Street Committee presented their findings to the Board of Selectmen meeting where they voted favorably for it. We will be having one more meeting in a few weeks to basically dissolve the committee. Our work is finished. Minuteman, like a broken record, we're on time, under budget. And just as a reminder, the last time they had an open house, the Minuteman Vocational Regional High School, they had 220 kids attend their open house. 180 of them were from the member towns. So they want to accept 180 to 190 freshmen this year, coming September in their brand new school. So, at one time, one of the controversial items about Minuteman and its validity and its viability was that they would ever get it populated, have enough students to, fill the school. This basically answers that question. Mission accomplished.
And if I recall correctly, the member towns have first right
Yes.
for open seats.
And it's interesting because some of the member towns that had dropped out now went back in. Towns like Lincoln that had dropped out, and that's where the school was physically located now. Some of the parents that send kids there didn't even realize that they were no longer in the district. They're
Okay.
things like that. I don't want to go down that road,
Yep.
but
Thank you.
it's doing well.
Very good. Gonna skip over me, I'll go last. Christine?
The last school committee meeting, Dave Verdolino reported they're anticipating a budgetary surplus of close to 1.4 million. So
Was that a mix of both revenue and unspent? Is that a total turn back, or was that just a underspending of allocation or a greater amount of unexpected revenue?
mix.
It was a mix of both? So coming in at 1% again? Okay. Thank you. Christie?
In addition to what Sahana said, as Jeff mentioned, there is the Mass DOT-led public forum on March 5th for the 25% design for Kelly's Corner. This is not the Kelly's Corner Steering Committee leading this. It is
Okay.
welcome, everyone from the public is welcome to attend and provide commentary about it.
Okay.
But we have no control over what happens there.
Okay. From the school building committee, which met last night, they did vote unanimously to move the next design document to the MSBA. Furthermore, we voted unanimously to go for a single phase project, which means there'd be one construction cycle, and both Douglas and Gates would relocate at the same time. The previous argument, or the previous, argument's the wrong word, the previous proposal, was to have a two-phase where the building, half the building would be built first, Gates would move in, the existing Gates building would be knocked down, the other half of the building would be built, and Douglas would move in. Being $6 million cheaper and 9 months faster to go in a single phase, it was determined to do a single phase. The only drawbacks that I can see, this will be a slightly taller than normal building. It will be a 3-story building. We do not believe we're going to have to ask for a height variance from the town. And the only other item that I don't think is great yet, and I would like them to continue to work on, is the circulation pattern for buses and parents at the same time. I'd love to see a little more separation between the two, which was something better of the second plan. But for $6 million, 9 months sooner, and less impact on the students of the site that's being built on, the Gates site, I do believe that the committee made the right decision. There was also a vote in last night's meeting not to remove the pre-K classrooms from this project. So we will be moving forward with 2 twin schools, as well as, I believe it's 9, don't quote me on that, but some number of preschool classrooms inside the one building. We are not yet at the point where there is diagrams of exactly what it would look like, nor do we have anything approaching final numbers for expectations, although we were promised that, I believe it's July 10th, we're going to have much firmer numbers that will be closer to what is going to be presented to the 2 towns in a special town meeting in November. Jeff?
Mr. Chairman, as you know, when we both attended the budget presentation for the school committee, I asked passionately that they comply with all of the state requirements so we could get maximum reimbursement. At this time, is there any large segment of the plan that does not qualify?
At this time, there is not, but I have to say that on 2 separate times have the folks from Skanska and Arrow Street come back, and Skanska in particular, and said, you cannot bank on the reimbursement number, that reimbursement percentage that is given to the district, that there will invariably be something that runs over, and that he said that a wise guesstimate for the underrun is 10%. He said he's never seen a project come in without at least a 3% degradation of the reimbursement rate, and that 10 is what they would ask us to keep in mind as we run our numbers. Now, if theoretically our number is 45.3, theoretically, as it was in the first round, a 10% degradation is painful. So they have heard from our point of view and from your comment and from everything that I've said in the meetings as well, to adhere to that as closely as possible. But I do want to caution that it's definitely been socialized that it's going to be damn near impossible to adhere exactly to the reimbursement number. They did say, before you jump back in, they did say last night for the first time ever, and this was absolutely a happy upside surprise. One of the most common ways that people do not attain full reimbursement is because site preparation is capped at 8% of the total project. And if your site preparation goes over 8%, then your reimbursement rate automatically goes down. As of last night, and I was so shocked, I asked the question 3 separate ways. As of last night, they do not believe we are going to go over the 8% site preparation. I asked them how that was possible, and apparently the answer is that the geothermal, it does not qualify as site preparation, it qualifies as plumbing. So that was cute. The second thing is that the bridge between the 2 sites is going to be cheaper than expected to build because we're going to be able to reuse the foundations. All the pylons are already there, and that's going to save us quite a bit of money when we go to put in a more substantial bridge. And then there was one other thing. Oh, the demolition of the Douglas property, Douglas building. Demolition does not qualify as site preparation. Demolition is independent, and as long as it is called for by the need of the educational plan, and it will be because of the number of parking spots that is mandated, and we're going to be putting parking there, then with those things combined are why I didn't know how we were going to get to under 8% of site preparation. Oh, the one thing that they said that has not been determined yet is whether we're going to use sewer or an on-site septic. And if we use an on-site septic, we will be over the 8%, and that will be a degradation to our 45.3%. So that is something that is yet TBD. So they hear us. We've said it many times, but they're definitely softening up the ground for you're not going to get 45.3%. I cut you off at one point because I had things to say. Did you want to follow up?
I was going to mention the land and saying I knew that we might spend more money and so we wouldn't get it fully. But the only thing that we can control is what the committee itself drives for.
Right.
And I just wanted to encourage the committee not to add, a second ball field because there's 2 schools or some things that just don't make sense that we know won't be reimbursed. That's all.
Yep. Fair enough. Okay. So that, I believe, did I miss any other committees, any other committee reports? Mr. Noon.
Do you have a report from ALG?
Did we meet since last time? I don't think we did. If we did, okay, so top of my mind, because I don't remember this, the last ALG meeting, we did look at yes, we did have an ALG meeting. They did.
You did last week.
They did, yep, they did present better numbers for the capital improvement projects. They've split out the fire department, Minuteman, Twin Schools, and the existing debt into 4 separate line items so that we can look at that as we move forward. I suggested that once Minuteman does become a debt override, that can be folded into the legacy existing debt override burden. Yeah, we definitely had better numbers. I believe I shared, I know I shared with you.
I saw them, yeah.
I will forward to the rest of the committee the latest ALG spreadsheet. I will forward that to the committee. But yeah, it's all over but the shouting at this point. Okay. Al, we look to you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Al moved, Steve seconded. All those,
It's non-debatable, Sana.
No, I think we just need to discuss the point of view document. I think the presentation, I just have one point, then we can adjourn. Sorry.
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman. It's out of order.
Be willing to withdraw.
Mr. Chairman, I
your
move to
motion?
unadjourn.
Can you withdraw? Just say I withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll withdraw my second.
thank you. Sahana, thank you for catching that I had skipped an item on our agenda.
It's going to be quick. I just have one I know I sent you all an email about it, March 20th with the Rotary, the presentation with the Rotary. I think Jeff said he would present, but we need one more person to go along with Jeff. This is on March 20th at 12:45, 1 p.m. Yeah, you get free lunch and you can
Yeah.
socialize with the members there.
Unfortunately, it's during business hours. Somebody who's retired or doesn't have to go to a, Mike, you're on? Mike,
Thanks, Mike.
Mike and Jeff.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I bet.
Okay. Sorry, Al. Ready to do it again?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Al moved, Christine seconded. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you all.